Hey, welcome, Quantum Lifers. That means you, if you're watching this, you are quantum, you are living life. And so that means I'm talking to you today. And each and every week, I go over a pattern of topics. And this week, we're going over chemistry and specifically, we're going over organs today. And we're going over the fundamental principles of the concept of how our chemistry in our blood and in our body is generated in relationship to our function of our organs. And of course, that also means things that we put in our body, like our food, the liquids, things we put on our skin, things we breathe. That is a little bit more focused for next week when we go over the environmental factors. And so the rotation of topics I go through is structure, so physical conversations of how we get well, how what causes us to break down. We go over mental, emotional. So week 2, week 3, we're going to go over blood chemistry and organs. Number 4, we're going over environment and the field, the biofield, the energetics. Week 5, yes, more of like the field conversation, the energy of life conversation, the quantum nature of life. And week 6, technologies to support your healing, techniques to support your healing, things that you can do on your own to grow your healing. And I release the full video that I record every week. Um, in my app, quantum-life.passion.io. And this is where I go over the concepts of natural health, wellness, optimal living, um, natural therapies, alternative therapies, ancient traditional therapies, whatever you may have. There's a number of free modules that are available for you to review on the app, and there's also paid content behind different apps. And then there's not yet disclosed groups and webinars that I'm building in the background as we keep on going. So my name is Dr. Kevin Jarina, and if you are just becoming familiar with me, I am in my 20th year as a professional doctor of chiropractic, and in that journey of looking at how to help people with their body, physical bones, muscles, ligaments, I discovered, of course, it was always there, but I discovered for myself that what integrates all of that is our brain, our communication tissue, a central nervous system. Yet we cannot separate that from our vascular system, which carries the nutrition, carries the oxygen, carries the carbon dioxide, carries the waste materials out of the system. Yet we can't separate that from the um, the hormone system. But also that flows within the the vascular system, and we cannot separate that though from how the meridian system, communication, a type of communication tissue that lives in the skin, operates in conjunction with all of this. So we cannot separate the body in reality from itself in any possible way. But for ease of conversation, of course, we need to break it down and talk about each area independently. Yet, with that overarching perspective of the holistic body, the whole of the being is what is the overarching perspective here. And so, when we zoom in this week, we're talking about organs and we're talking about blood chemistry. So, in the foundational training in which I was brought up, Palmer College of Chiropractic, thoughts, traumas, and toxins. Those are the three categories of what breaks our body down, and how do we address those thoughts, traumas, and toxins to build our body back up. Now, as I entered into my professional services, there's certain requirements to get continuing education of certain topics. Though with those fundamental requirements to continue, I also took extra work to understand the most recent research that was coming out in the early 2000s. This was 2000. This was a period of time of 20 years in the 90s and early 2000s that was very rich with information coming out of recent breakthroughs in neuroscience and genetics and quantum physics and all sorts of things that's been trickled out to the circles of studies that I found myself in. And in that world, we started to see the total story where there is a we want to use the idea that there is a perspective vitalistic, meaning it's a living, we're looking at a living system that is symbiotic with its everything, it's in total with everything going on inside, everything going on around, and there's a constant fluctuation of adaptation. And what we are adapting to, of course, is our choices, our behavior, our environments. And in that nature, we want to look at the components that process our environment, the components that break down and we assimilate our environment. And then, of course, when we have byproducts or like an exhaust for a car, or that we extract all the useful nutrition, useful energy from something, we excrete it out. And so what what is in charge of these faculties, these ways in which we encounter our environment, in which we maintain life and thriving functionality in relationship to our desires, our dreams, our demands, all that may be. So that's a lot of conversation. But what I'm talking about is our organs. And for the body to um, have communication between itself, like I said, there's that electric magnetic communication, and then we have the kind of communication that travels in the blood vessels. So to get to the conversation of the blood supply to the organs, and then the chemistry, people go get blood work when they're not feeling well, or something's wrong. There needs to be a discovery process. People go get blood work. They go get testing. They have urine samples. They have stool samples. They have saliva samples. We have tests where we analyze the electromagnetic fields of the brain and of the cranium and on the skin surface. And yet that chemistry we know is affected by, of course, our environment, but number two, by the things that we put in and on our body, and number three,